everybody, and happy Wednesday. What's going on? We got D-Mac, Rachel Veal hanging out with you, James Marilat, and Jake Shapiro to join us shortly later. D-Mac, how are you?
I'm doing awesome because the Miami Heat lost to the Celtics. My misguided family and friends back in Boston are so delusional right now. It's hysterical.
Oh, are they saying they're going to be like the first in history?
Oh, yeah. It's all that. They point to the Red Sox coming back from 0-3 against the Yankees, which they did in 0-4 for that magical run. And I just love every element of it, every moment of it. I love the fact the Heat are going to have to stress out. They have to go back to Boston. I bet you Boston does win.
Yep.
And then it has to go back for a game 6. I mean, so both of these teams are going to have to kill themselves now to meet the Nuggets.
I know. And we love to say it. Zach By said it yesterday of like, let this series extend as long as it possibly can, go to 7. So I don't want to see Boston in the finals. I would rather see the Heat. I would like to see Boston win a few more games, and then the Heat can close out in game 7.
Why don't you like Boston?
I just think when a team can get hot like that, that really scares me going into the finals. Obviously, they were down 3-0. If they can come back and win 4 straight, they are going to be absolutely on fire.
Do you know that the Celtics really don't play anybody who's taller than Michael Porter Jr.? Never mind Jokic.
Isn't that crazy?
No, they're just a smaller team, and the Heat's kind of the same thing.
They're both smaller.
And when I was watching them, I'm just like, this is okay. I mean, I'm not freaking out about. Listen, everybody needs to know NBA players can hit open jump shots.
Yeah.
All right, they can. So it's like people are, oh my God, look how good these guys are. Look how good these guys are. Calm down.
Yeah.
These are jump shots. Everybody can hit them. What teams can rebound? What teams can fight? What teams can, move the ball better? Everybody can just hit silly jump shots. But what team really inside presence rebounding? And how do you stop Jokic with teams this small? Now, that does not mean a Tatum or a Jimmy Butler can't really do well.
They can go out or go off, excuse me.
But we have seen that every single series where individual players have had, a big night. Okay, LeBron had 40, and the most recent loss that put him, did you see him? He was really seriously like in Cancun or Cabo or someplace.
Yep.
He really was.
Yep.
Like we were joking about, gas up the plane. The next day on social, LeBron's tweeting a picture of him at a beach. You can't even make this up. He really did do that.
I just want to say this. I wish I had that kind of money where I could literally be like, oh yeah, game's over that night. Let's book a flight to the beach.
That night.
Doesn't even matter.
That night he's on the private jet in, I don't know, Tahiti, Cabo, Mazatlan, I don't know, wherever there's the hey man, that LeBron, you look so happy, and the ocean was so blue, and man, you had a big smile. I was like so happy for LeBron.
He's doing a lot of thinking about his future for sure.
I was so like, let's have these conversations about LeBron. What are you having for lunch today? What time are you sleeping in? What golf course you hitting?
How great is the fruit you're probably having on a tropical island? My favorite part of going to the beach is always the fruit.
Rachel, oh my God, 11 o'clock. It's time for LeBron to get on his banana boat, with a bunch of his friends. Make sure you wear a life jacket. It can be a little salty out there.
LeBron.
See, these are good LeBron conversations. These are fun. These are LeBron conversations for the ages. Like the rest of his life is going to be so amazing on a beach, not playing basketball, losing to the Nuggets. I mean, these are the LeBron conversations we really should be having.
We love to hear it. And we love also Charles Barkley sticking up for the Nuggets.
Barkley's great. He's been great for the Nuggets all year.
Yep.
He's got a tea time at Castle Pines.
I know. We're going to get into it. We're going to play the clip a little bit later too. But we also have to talk about what's going on Broncos. But real quick, I have to tell you this. Yes. Last night I wake up at 4 a.m. I'm like, I cannot go back to bed. Like I was ready to go for the day. This is the second time in a row I've woken up between like 4 and 5. Okay. Like, okay, I'm just going to take one thing of melatonin just to try and go back to bed. I do that. I am so tired right now that I am like not functioning. So everybody buckle up because it's going to be something. I should have got my coffee this morning because I am just, I know. I don't want your leftover.
No, I wasn't suggesting that. I almost suggested that, but I wasn't.
Okay. Well, thank goodness. Let's go into Broncos headquarters though yesterday because who is going to replace Brandon McManus? A lot of people, that's the question of the day because everyone was kind of caught up by surprise that Brandon McManus got that
Yeah, and it was the answer was right in front of us, and we really didn't see it.
Yep.
But the answer was Cam Fleming as a swing tackle, Tyler something or other as a backup nose tackle, defensive tackle, which might be bad news for Mike Purcell.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a second kicker coming in today. I forget,
Brett May.
Yeah, but somebody else now too.
Oh.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that news.
Hold on. I'll get it to you.
My favorite thing is seeing the Maher, correct?
I don't know.
Maher,
something
Maher.
Like that. Yeah. Brett Maher.
Y'all probably know in the comments. You can correct us.
Mm-hmm.
Do we all remember his game?
Yeah, we should, because he missed 4 out of 5 extra points in one game and then missed another field goal extra point attempt the next game for the Cowboys.
Which is how they lost in the playoffs.
He did hit 9 of 11 for from 50 plus, but listen, it's sketchy. This other guy is Parker White. He's trying out today, and he was at the University of South Carolina in 2021.
Okay.
He was recently with the Packers, but he was, I don't know. So they're taking it one way or the other, Rachel, one way or the other. They're getting an older kicker that's available for a reason, or they've got to take a chance with a younger kicker. But now we know why they wanted the money for Brandon McManus for a swing tackle and a backup nose tackle and a kicker. So they are doing a 3-for-1 deal. It just so happens that one of them is going to be a kicker with, hey man, there's just going to be some baggage one way or another. And it doesn't mean a young kicker cannot work out. And Parker White, I mean, that's kind of the way to go. I mean, if you can find a young guy who can be the guy. The problem with Maher is every single time for the rest of his career, when he runs out to an extra point, every single fan's going to think the same thing.
They're going to hold their breath.
They're going to hold their breath.
As I saw that, I was like, what's Sean Payton thinking here?
Well, the yips are a weird thing. So I'm not saying the guy isn't a high quality guy at doing his job. He is. But when you get some sort of weird mental block on something that is very easy for you to do, listen, we saw it with Simone Biles, which is really confounding. The mental aspect of sports should not be trifled with or, not considered important or put down as if it's easy to get over it. Listen, man, everybody's got a breaking point. There's just things going on. I give this guy credit for sticking with it. I'm sure there's
did he have a choice?
Well, yeah, you got choices in life, Rachel. I mean,
you're saying stick. I thought you meant during the game. I was like, well, he doesn't have a choice to not go out there.
How terrifying is that, though? How terrifying is it when you lose it in the middle of the game and you got to keep going out there? I actually have a lot of respect for Simone Biles for not placing herself in a dangerous position. Gymnastics is dangerous. Like, if you don't have the full confidence to go about it, kicking's not dangerous. It's just more embarrassing. But it's a tough one to live with. So maybe the answer is this young guy, Parker White. Everybody started young at some point.
Yep.
It's just one of these moments like, okay, Broncos. And the reason why they did this is because, Rachel, they don't have draft picks.
Yeah.
Because you don't have draft picks, you can't build depth. So you have to find other ways to do it. And Brandon McManus didn't do anything wrong. It's just that, sorry about that.
It was all money.
Yeah, it was all money. And the fact that you gave up, there's a little Russell Wilson impact here and a little Sean Payton impact. When you have to give up draft picks for other players, you don't get young guys to develop in backup sort of developmental roles.
Yeah.
You go with all veterans. Cam Fleming is a veteran. He's likely, I'm going to guess, on a 1-year deal. So you're going to have to replace that at some point too.
Yep.
So Rachel, it's a dangerous way to operate. Look at the Rams. The Rams went all in. They won a Super Bowl. Okay, but now because they have a lack of depth, they didn't have draft picks. They're in a tough spot, but they did win a championship. So you could say, well, is it worth being subpar for a championship? The tough one, is it worth being subpar to be subpar? And that's why the pressure on Russell Wilson and this group goes through the roof.
And it's always a gamble, right? For any time you try and go all in. So I'll ask you the question.
Yeah.
Is it worth it to go all in for 1 year like the Rams did in hopes that you win? The Rams could have walked away and not have won a championship in that game. And look at the next probably 5 years for them of what that's going to look like.
You can't develop, here's how you can't develop a dynasty. You can't develop a dynasty going all in. You also cannot develop a dynasty with a great defense.
Yeah.
Because you're going to lose too many parts. The only way that you can really build a dynasty is drafting a young quarterback and developing around him, okay? Everything comes from that. But can you win with a spectacular defense? Absolutely. The Broncos did it in 2015. You got the Bears as an example, the 2000 Ravens. There are definitely examples. Can you win all in just in any given year? The Rams have done that recently.
Yeah.
The Buccaneers did it with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But you cannot develop a dynasty or a lasting success unless you are Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen with the Bills. And listen, I get it. They haven't won the Super Bowl with the Bills, but they're competitive. They're odds-on favorite most games that they play.
Mm-hmm.
They've got, I know you think of a dynasty like winning championships, so I can use a different word. But in terms of a playoff competitive team, the Bills are there. The Cincinnati Bengals are now there. Maybe the Jacksonville Jaguars are there.
Okay, another question. Would you rather go to the playoffs for 6 years straight and never win a championship?
Yeah.
Or go 1 year and go all the way?
That is such a good question.
Let us know in the comments what you would do, because I love this question, because those 6 years are so fun and it's almost more memories for you.
Rachel, I lived it because I was in Buffalo in my first year. I was always near Buffalo. I was in Syracuse while they were going to the Super Bowl. Okay. But I didn't become a Bills fan till I lived in Buffalo. My first year in Buffalo was their fourth time there. Was my first year there. I thought it was amazing. And they did go to the playoffs even after that, but they never won a Super Bowl. But every year, it's such a good question, man. Well, we're sort of living through it right now with the Broncos, aren't we? Like, if you just became familiar with the Broncos in 2015.
Oh, geez.
So I guess I'd have to go back and ask you the question. Like, if you became a Broncos fan in 2014, 2015.
Won the Super Bowl,
but this is kind of the weird Zach Bye question, because Zach's first year here in Denver was the year after they won the Super Bowl. So that is a tough question. That would be good in the comments. I don't know.
So far we're at give me that chip. So winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but it's such a bummer year. How long do I not go to the playoff? I mean, I said 7 years.
6 years. This one says, as a casual fan, I would take the Super Bowl. As a season ticket holder, I want multiple great years. I understand that.
Yeah.
6 years of playoff, anything can happen once you make the playoffs. Wildcard teams like the Giants and Steelers. True.
Right.
If I was the Broncos, 6 years straight playoff, because we already have 3 Super Bowls under our
How about
belt.
this? Would you rather be a Bills fan or a Rams fan? Or a Bucks, or maybe even better. Okay. Would you rather be a Bills fan or a Buccaneers fan? Buccaneers won it.
I know,
but they sold out, and there's no real hope for them doing it anytime soon.
I'm going Bills because you have a younger quarterback.
But you don't have a Super Bowl.
You don't have a Super Bowl, but you have hope.
I'm going to go with you on that.
I think hope is what we all want.
Yeah, man, because what is more exciting than thinking you could win? You can win.
Yeah.
And it's so depressing.
Like right now in Tampa Bay, they don't have high hopes for this season.
They have no hope, and they have no hope for a long time.
Yeah.
So, okay, but you got a championship. You got it. You sold out for one. But the Rams are a little bit different, because you could see they got Aaron Donald. They got Stafford. You could see them actually bouncing back a little bit. There's no hope for the Bucs.
Yeah.
They're not going anywhere, okay? They're in a pretty soft division, so they may do okay, but they're not winning a championship anytime soon.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the worst right now. It's stuck in this Broncos purgatory.
I literally was about to say, but the Broncos won the Super Bowl, obviously, how many years ago now? 7?
2015.
Yeah, that's crazy.
8? Going on 8.
Yeah.
This will be the 8th season.
And this has been far worse than anything we've all ever had to deal with, at least in my time.
Well, don't forget though, at this time last year, oh my God, everybody was so optimistic and hopeful.
Yeah.
And we were energized because of Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson. I mean, it was.
But that was also, would you say that last year was the most disappointing season in Broncos history?
By a mile, because the expectations were so high. Listen, when Case Keenum was here, or Joe Flacco's your quarterback, or Trevor Siemian beat out Paxton Lynch, and we got Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, Rachel, what were we expecting?
Yeah.
Did we think any combination of those guys was going to beat Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen?
Yeah.
Forget it. And then you get Joe Burrow, who, wow, what a shock. He's great. He only had like the greatest college career of all time.
Yeah.
So the Bengals all of a sudden are promised. Oh, and look at Lamar Jackson. I guess he's pretty good. Oh, darn it. Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. And so you look at the AFC right now with all these young gunslingers who are going nowhere. They're going to be locked down by their teams. Even Lamar Jackson, who was so contentious with the Ravens, eventually did his deal. We got Russell, okay? And he looks great. He looks great. He does look great. But it's just one of these moments. I don't know if you caught it. Aaron Rodgers turned his ankle or something in the OTAs with the Jets. And somebody else with the Jets kind of fell down or got hurt or something. I'm not holding my breath that the Jets are going to be any good.
Oh, but that game is going to be so fun.
The game's going to be awesome.
The game is going to be so much fun.
Listen, the NFL is always awesome. And here's why. Because of the salary cap and just the way things operate, you can go from a 5-win team to a 12-win team.
Yeah.
That has happened a lot. Can you win a championship? No, but I don't think that's what we really want here in Denver for the Broncos. I think what we're really searching for, which is a little pathetic, right now, I think we're just searching for them to be competitive. But
that's so sad.
Oh, it's miserably sad.
Which it kind of goes into this next point of, this Tyler guy that they're bringing in, right? His name is Tyler. I want to make sure the nose tackle.
Yes.
Yeah, Tyler Lancaster.
Yes, good old Tyler Lancaster.
Okay, are you ready for this?
Yes.
Andrew Mason, denversports.com. And this is nothing against Tyler. It's just when I first read it, I was like, Broncos, what are we thinking here? Lancaster spent the 2022 season out of football after the Las Vegas Raiders cut him at the 53-player roster deadline. But before that, he played 4 seasons for the Green Bay Packers, during which he started 25 games, including 4 playoff contests, and notched 1.5 sacks.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's a backup. He's a rotational backup guy. It could be bad news, like I said, for Mike Purcell. But these are, again, these are the moves you have to do when you don't have draft picks. Normally, this guy would be acquired as a 5th, 6th sort of a round sort of guy. Listen, they've got a lot of undrafted guys that they're bringing into. I'm not that worried about it. It's not that big of a deal. What's scary is the margins for the Broncos are wafer thin, meaning I get it, the cliche next man up, but the gap between this guy and the backup, it's like that. It's not like this. It's like that. Not like this.
I know.
Like that. Maybe even lower. Who knows?
That's why I don't have hope for this season, D-Man.
What do you got him at? Record-wise.
Oh, when we did it that one day, what did we end up? 9-8?
Are you 9-8?
Yeah, I think that's what we added or we got to. Remember when we did it here on Coffee Break? We went through the entire schedule, and I think I was at 9-8.
I had him at 9-8, but my 8th loss was against the Raiders on the last game of the season. So I'm going to make them 10-7 because it's just too depressing to think that they're going to lose to the Raiders in the last game of the year with the playoffs on the line. So I'm going to go 10-7 with the caveat. Like, I didn't know how at the beginning of the year, before the schedule came out, I had them, 9-8. I didn't know how I was going to get to 9-8. I didn't know the Raiders were going to be the last game of the season.
When was the last time they won a final game of the season?
Oh my!
We're gonna do a little bit of research. I guess they won. They beat the Chargers 31-28 last year.
Oh, last year. I mean, last year. I don't even remember the game.
I don't.
All right, they beat the. Oh no! Of course I remember that game.
Oh yes.
Because that game meant that's the game the Chargers didn't need to even play anybody, and the Broncos were playing like a Super Bowl, and Russell Wilson made a great pass at the end of the first half, and then the Chargers. Brandon Staley realized, what am I doing? I'm going to get my guys hurt, and pulled them all out in the fourth quarter, and we won by a field goal. And everybody was crowning Russell Wilson like, see? And he's out there against he's out there against the scrubs against the Chargers, and we're like, yeah, that was win number 5, his 4th win. Yeah, because Rippon got a win too. So that was Russell Wilson's. Wow, that is stunning to think that it took that game for Russell Wilson to get his 4th win as the Broncos quarterback that year. Woo.
Ooh. Are you content with the fact that they went and found some depth for other positions and not running back?
It's a good question. There's an undrafted guy. Gosh darn it, the names are escaping me. But there's an undrafted guy that they have a lot of hope in. Gosh darn it, my memory. Sorry, guys, but I'll get there.
Still it's OTAs, honestly, there's OTAs a lot of names.
All right, but I'm telling you, there's one in particular guy that they like a lot, who's an undrafted running back that I think you'll like when you see him. And so I'm okay with it. The fact
have they signed him?
What's that?
Have they signed him, or is this somebody that's just on the market right now?
No, they signed him as an undrafted free agent. He was part of rookie minicamp.
Okay.
He's just, but he got some, decent money as an undrafted free agent. He wasn't like a rookie tryout. They signed him to we'll see if he makes the team. That's always kind of a, if sort of situation.
Yep.
But if you got P. Ryan, Javonte Williams, gosh darn it, I'm forgetting his name. This guy.
I'm on it. Hold on.
Can you find him? Running back.
Tony Jones Jr.
No.
Damari Crockett. No.
No.
That's all they got for the depth chart.
All right. Anyways, don't even worry. Oh, hold on. Is it there? Yeah, he's not even there. Oh no, right. Oh no. Actually, don't even worry about it. There'll be somebody. Don't even worry about it. I'm not worried about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, again, people are still on the give me Kareem Hunt, so I'm always curious.
They're not now. No. They don't have the money now. They already spent the money on Cam Fleming and Tyler and whatever kicker they picked. So that's done. It happened like that. That's why McManus was released. They did not think his output.
What do you think he's gonna do?
He'll get another job with another team. I mean, he won't get. I think he was going to make like $3.7 million. He's not going to get that, but he'll get more than $1 million to be a kicker for somebody. No doubt about it. He'll get picked up very quickly.
Because he said more to come soon or whatever.
Yeah, he's going to get signed by another team.
Yeah.
Listen, a lot of times these guys know things because it's pushed forward by. I'm sure Brandon was probably disappointed, but I doubt he was shocked or surprised.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it seems like we heard this from Kareem Jackson, and they were very open and honest with him. Like he had a contract on the table for a month, and like they were like, we need to see what we're going to do, how we're going to move some money. So I'm sure that the same respect was paid to Brandon McManus.
Yeah. I mean, they're not jerks or they're not terrible people or something. Yeah. It's a business. The players understand it. It's a tough thing when you get to year 8, year 9.
And I don't think Sean Payton was going to say, hey, you can wear a ref costume for training camp.
Yeah, but I'll tell you this. I dug around on that, and that wasn't the issue.
I don't think so. I think it was all money, but I'm just saying I couldn't imagine Sean Payton. It's a tighter ship.
You're probably right, but I don't think there might have been a little bit of a culture thing, maybe a little bit, but listen, here's the truth. I'll kill you with truth on this one. McManus wasn't lights out enough to justify being the 8th highest kicker when the team needed other things. However, I hold my breath on this because the margins in games are so slim.
Yeah.
It's just like it's just not a position I would ever go cheap with. I would never, ever, as much as I rip on special teams for other reasons, I would just never, ever, ever go cheap on a kicker, and I would lean so heavy towards a more veteran kicker.
Yep.
And I would do whatever it takes to coach that guy or make him happy. I just think it's such a critical position on the team. And again, it's not that young guys can't do it, but it's hard to get into the NFL as a kicker. I mean, for new kickers who aren't in the NFL to join the NFL, Rachel, that might be 1 or 2 guys a year, maybe, because once you get there, and you're good enough to actually do that job, which is such a hard job to do.
Yeah.
Once you get there, it's there's no real reason to get rid of you.
Okay, so I'm gonna name you 3 kickers. You tell me which one you would want.
Okay.
And actually, we're gonna do it. We're gonna play a 2-game kind of thing. You're gonna give me a grade that you would give this kicker, and then at the end, you tell me which one you would want.
Wow, this is a test.
I guess we'll start with Maher, even though he's not included in my 3. Go ahead.
I give him a 0. I mean, the guy's got the yips. I mean, I got nothing personal against the dude, but it's officially a 0.
And my only one is because if in those big moments, those things affect you, and they affected me. I never did well when I was like swimming in state or anything. Like the moment always got too big for me, and that happens to athletes. So I'm no one to judge here. But in that Seattle game, And Brandon McManus obviously missed it too, but like you need a kicker who those moments don't get too big. And I know it wasn't a big moment for Brandon McManus, but it was a big moment for the Denver Broncos, and it's unfortunate what happened. Could you imagine the season might have looked a little bit different had they won that game?
Yeah, I'm not going to castigate too much blame on somebody who misses a 64-yard field goal, 64 left hash. But the problem with Maher is missing extra points.
I know.
And they moved the extra points back, which is good. So maybe you can miss 2, maybe 3 a year.
Okay.
But you can't miss 5 out of 6 and back. So my grade for him is a 0. Here's the confusing part of the problem.
Also, I love how you do grades 0, not Fs. It's just zeros.
Well, I go on the Nikola Jokic grading system.
I love it.
And they go from 0 to 5. So I've incorporated the Serbian scoring system rather than the because where's E? A, B, C, D, F? What happened to E? I mean, talk about what happened there. Like, why did we skip E? Seriously, why?
I never thought of that.
A, what'd you get? B, what'd you get? C, D, what'd you get? K.
Wait, does anybody know why there is no E? Oh my gosh, wait, that's so funny. Okay, I know you have to go here shortly, so I want to roll through these.
All right. Yes, I do.
Mason Crosby.
Great guy. See you, dude. 38. Looks like Methuselah with the hair. He's okay. I mean, he's all right. Listen, the what I care about is if you're going to make every single kick from 40 to 49, are you going to make every single extra point? And do I have a 70% chance of you making a 50-yard plus field goal? Okay. So if that's the way he lines up and he's, healthy, I love the fact that he's a CU guy. So I'd be okay. 38 concerns me just a pinch, but it's kicking. He could be in spectacular shape. So I'll give him an E, or I'll give him a 4. I don't know. He's all right.
Wait, I really have to know.
One more.
Ryan Suckup.
Yeah, he's a little bit younger.
Yep.
I'd have to question why. Maybe that's a money thing too. Maybe he was just making too much money for Tennessee, I guess, or wherever the last Houston. I don't know, wherever his last stop was. The problem with those guys, though, Rachel, they're going to have to pay them more. So it may have to be like this young guy, because that might be all they can seriously afford.
Yeah.
So I would go with one of those guys first. I don't know if they've got the money to do it. This is a wild, risky sort of move. It could pay off. And they've got Mike Westhoff as their special teams coach. He's a legend. So, I mean, I definitely will give them the benefit of the doubt and trust their judgment on it. It's just like, it'll be a hold your breath sort of moment.
We'll see. D-Mac, as always, an absolute pleasure. All right. Charles Barkley, though, we talked about him at the beginning of the show. Denver is beginning to love Charles Barkley even more. Take a listen.
Chuck.
I was so mad this morning, I actually turned the TV off because the Denver Nuggets, who have been the best basketball team in the world all season, sweep, get to the finals for the first time. Now, Mike Malone, I love him, but he's whiny. But he does have a point.
No, he has a great point.
He has a great point.
A great point.
I mean, I was like, and I love Mike Malone. I cannot wait.
Michael Malone. If you really love him, call him Michael.
Okay. Michael Malone. I can't wait to get to Denver. Hey, Sean Payton, I got your text. You and Payton. We're playing Castle Pines. I'm ready.
He's all over the place.
No,
I know.
No, but I was so glad. I was so mad watching TV this morning to everything. And listen, we all love LeBron. He didn't say he was retiring yet. When he does that, we'll do all that stuff. But it should have been all about the Denver Nuggets and Joker, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter, and those guys.
And we have James Marilat hanging out with us this morning. James, first of all, I know your kids have graduation today, not high school or college or anything, but still graduation. So congratulations, Dad.
Thank you. Just finished 5th grade continuation and have 8th grade here coming up right after lunch. So it's a busy day here in the house.
Look at you. But we love Charles Barkley because, wow, he's understanding what Nuggets fans have gone through for so long. And I got mad at the TV yesterday. I know you retweeted Charles Barkley. What's your take that people are finally now just starting to understand?
Yeah, I mean, it was very frustrating throughout the Lakers series. That whole series being on ESPN, it was all about LeBron all the time, all about the Lakers. Even after game 4, they would cut in and show part of the Nugget pressers. They showed LeBron James from the moment he walked in the press room till the moment he walked off, like it was uninterrupted, wall-to-wall coverage. Yeah, it was definitely tilted in that way. look, they've won 17 championships as a franchise. They're based in LA. I get it. He's the all-time leading scorer in the history of the NBA. It's not as though they're covering somebody not worthy of it. So the Nuggets, if they ultimately want to change this, they need to keep winning. You know what? If you're the defending champs next year, people are going to talk about you a lot. Win a couple in a row, people are going to talk about you a lot. So it's frustrating, understandably. They're starting to get more credit. And if they do win a title, then it's going to be over that hill and kind of be an avalanche of credit. So good for Chuck. He's been on the Nuggets bandwagon all year.
Also, can we talk about the fact that he was like, don't worry, Sean Payton and Peyton, we're going to be playing at Castle Pines. Like, just throwing that out there. I'm not going to text you back, but if you're watching right now, you know.
RSVPing on national TV. Nothing wrong with that, right?
And if you're smart and you live in Denver, you're going to go down to Castle Pines a couple days next week and see who you can find.
Might need to stake it out, kind of hide in the bushes, see what kind of, exclusives we can get.
Accidentally hit a ball down there and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, everyone. Let's hope they're not driving golf carts. Hopefully they have drivers, unlike Russell Wilson and Justin Simmons down there. But I guess they were at Arrowhead, so a little different golf course, but same story to be told. Michael Malone, though, you have been on I don't want to say the negative side of it, but I feel like you've gone through a lot of heartbreak with the Nuggets team. And so until they win a championship, until they finally do it, I feel like, and people give you crap for it, James, and I'm definitely not one of them, because you have to be able to prove yourself and go out there and win a championship for people to stop talking about you in a you can't do it sort of fashion. But as these playoffs have gone on, have you adapted more to what Michael Malone has done and less being stubborn and more just sticking to his own game plan?
I've given Michael Malone a lot of credit for a couple of things. I think the us against the world, chip on our shoulder, we get no respect attitude that he's had, and sort of the bravado he's had going up in front of the media. Like after game one, he goes up before game two and basically just mocks them for talking about how the Lakers discovered something with Hachimura. Like he's kind of given his team a little bit of a swagger.
Yeah, I agree.
Kind of a stick it to you kind of swagger. So I think that's been great. I wrote about that at denversports.com. I thought the technical foul he took in game 4 was spot on. For one, it was just, he was speaking for all of Nuggets Nation of like, this is absurd.
Yep.
That was great. I actually think it was a tipping point in the game too, because they got a much better whistle after that. So I thought that was good. Do I think he's been a great tactician? No, he hasn't had to be. He's played the same 8 guys and now down to 7 every game except for blowouts. And when there was the one game where he had 3 guys with 2 fouls in the first quarter and he had to put Reggie Jackson in for a couple of minutes, he hasn't had to make all these adjustments. So look, he's not over tinkering. Sometimes you just leave well enough alone. And when you're 12-3 in the playoffs, why would you over tinker? But let's not act like he's just been some sort of, tactical magician here either. My criticism of Michael Malone started 2 years ago when they were playing Portland in the first round. They were the 3 seed and the Blazers were the 6 seed. Jamal had just gotten hurt and I was doing a war room on 104.3 The Fan, and everybody was saying, you can't expect them to win this series. And I wanted my head to explode. It's like, why? They've got the MVP. They've got Aaron Gordon. They've got Michael Porter Jr. They've got home court advantage. They should be able to beat the Blazers. Now, I don't think they should win the series. That went up in smoke when they are the championship. That went up in smoke when they lost Murray in Golden State to the knee injury. We have to have some expectations. And that's where it all started of like, come on, you got to be able to have some criticism, some expectations. Coming into this playoffs, it was fully healthy. Now you got to prove it. And hey, he's proven it. So good. But to just give somebody a free pass, that was always my issue with Michael Malone.
I criticized Michael Malone because I was like, oh my gosh, he's being so stubborn. He needs to adapt. But I actually, now that I look back at it, he realized what he had on his team. And I'm like, you know what, Michael Malone, I got to give you credit that you understood what you had when maybe other people didn't, myself included. And you stuck with what worked and look at where they are now. Yeah.
So this year it's fine, right? So again, the second round of my criticism for Michael Malone was last year against Golden State. This time, no MPJ, still no Murray. The Warriors went on to win the title. The Nuggets weren't going to win that series.
Exactly.
I get it. But that doesn't mean you just don't do anything, that you just don't try anything when you lost in 5 games. And to play 5 games, lose 4 out of them, doing the exact same thing, to me, is the definition of insanity. It's just you're rolling out the basketballs and saying, good luck, boys. Like, that just doesn't work to me. So I think that was a valid criticism, and people took it as, oh, well, they were never going to beat the Warriors anyway. Well, no blank. But that doesn't mean you don't try something. This year's different, right? It's working. Yeah. Of course, you don't change it when it's working, but True. You know, I have a hard time painting someone as just a genius for standing pat. Like sometimes, but look, Michael Malone's done a very good job in these playoffs. I've said for 2 years, I hope he proves me wrong. I will cheer his fire truck the loudest at the parade. Will that make everybody happy? If I take a I love you, Michael Malone sign?
Please do, because I guarantee with how sassy he is, he would get down off the fire truck and go stand next to you and take a picture. I guarantee it.
That would be great.
Oh my gosh. So do you
Michael Malone's biggest fan? That will be I'll make the poster board, me and my kids, and I'll have it above my head.
I love it. Would you call him a genius then if they would somehow sweep either the Celtics or the Heat?
If they sweep the Celtics, yeah, at some point you're like, okay. I mean,
you're not riding high on the Heat, huh?
Listen, and I'm not going to apologize for it, but when your path to a championship is an 8, a 4, a 7, and an 8, things fell pretty much in your direction. They'll have home court advantage in that series. They're playing a team that not only was in the play-in, was in the play-in. Like, okay, they were borderline not even making it into the postseason. They're playing great now. The Heat, Jimmy Butler's an awesome player, but I think Eric Spoelstra is the one that's going to have to come up with some sort of great game plan. I think Michael Malone can just say, hey, I got the better roster. Let's go out there and just do our thing. And again, sometimes the smart thing to do, the smartest thing to do is just go be yourself and don't change anything. I get that, and I give him credit for that. You beat the Heat doing that. I'm not sure you beat the Celtics without trying to come up with some sort of a different look, different answer. That would be my guess.
I love this comment. A Malone tattoo is the only thing that will satisfy us. That is very much a good one.
All of the people who come at me now about Michael Malone prove my point. You were not allowed to criticize him. Nothing. You weren't. He was beyond any sort of criticism. It's like, okay, so there's the 4 longest tenured coaches in the NBA right now. Steve Kerr, multiple titles, 4. Greg Popovich, 5 titles. Eric Spoelstra, what's he got? 3?
Yep.
And Michael Malone. Which one doesn't fit into that list? But yeah, I'm the bad guy. Come on, give me a break.
I think you can criticize absolutely everyone until they win something. And so I'm with you. You're more vocal with it, but I'm with you. I criticize Michael Malone plenty during the season too, but to see where he's put his team, I'm happy he's stuck with his guns. Otherwise, I don't know if we would 100% be here.
Well, and look, again, I think he's done a really, really good job in the playoffs, but those who want to take a victory lap on me, don't do it too early. If they lose to the Heat, if he loses to an 8 seed with home court advantage in the NBA Finals, we're all just going to be cool with that? I don't think so.
Bad things will happen. Well, you also mentioned how he had his 8 and now he's down to a 7. Christian Braun has been removed, which I still have questions for. I know it was a short leash for him, but I'm like, give him a little bit. I hope we do see him at least some point. But the question is 7 guys enough for the final, or do we need to try to get it back to 8?
I think you need to be back at 8. I mean, look, the postseason's all about shortening the bench, and you're going to play guys a lot of minutes. But go back to that Suns series, and they played more than 7 or 8. But Durant and Booker played so many minutes that by game 5 and game 6, they were just shot. They just had nothing left. My fear is if you try and play the finals with 7 guys, if you get into a 5th, 6th, 7th game, because to play with 7, that means Murray and Jokic are playing 44 minutes a game, 45.
Yeah.
Aaron Gordon's playing a ton. MPJ's playing a ton. I know they're young guys, and they're certainly younger than Kevin Durant, but even Devin Booker looked like he had lost his legs a bit. So I think you got to try and spread out the minutes a bit more. I do think you need an 8th guy. I think it's Christian Braun gets the first shot at it. He may have just been a little overwhelmed by the setting, right? You're in LA. There's all these stars, all the celebrities. Yep. And quite frankly, it just wasn't a very good matchup for him. He's just not going to be able to go out there and guard LeBron. So we got to kind of see who's who and and how everybody matches up.
And you mentioned the minutes too. I mean, this is from game 4, 45 minutes for Jokic, 43 minutes for Jamal Murray. But to be completely honest, I think regardless, we're going to see those types of minutes throughout every single game, no matter how long the NBA finals go.
You're going to see close to that. And it doesn't seem like it would be a big difference, Rachel, but if you could get Jokic down to 42, that means he's getting a 3-minute break each half, right? Like the end of the first quarter, a minute and a half, and the start of the second quarter, a minute and a half. He needs to be down to about 42, and Jamal probably needs to be 40 to 42. So he was close. We're not asking Christian Brown to go out and play 20 minutes. We're asking him to go play 8.
Yeah.
6 to 8, and just don't be a disaster. And you can also in the postseason, you can play more minutes too, because there's the TV timeouts and they're longer, and there's all these little ways you can kind of steal some rest. But I think 45 minutes a game from Nikola Jokic would be tough. You're not going to cut him down to 35, but I think you need to be about 42.
Okay, the other question coming in, could number 8 be someone other than Brown?
Boy,
I just don't know who.
The answer should be yes, right? We've heard during the Phoenix series about, hey, do you see a little Peyton Watson? Do you see some more Reggie Jackson? But if you didn't play those guys any meaningful minutes through the first 15 games, why on earth would you play in meaningful minutes and trust them in the NBA Finals?
Exactly.
That would be something I would criticize, right? Because it would be, hey, if you thought you might need Zeke Naji down the road, why didn't you at least try and get him a minute or two and get some playoff, experience and get used to the atmosphere and the intensity, and it's ratcheted up. So I think at this point, those are the 8 guys barring an injury or foul trouble.
Yeah. And we saw Reggie Jackson for what, 2 minutes?
Yeah, and it was hey, how do we get out of this first quarter? That was the game where KCP went out with 5 minutes into the game, MPJ like 7. Christian Brown came in and picked up 2 quick fouls. It's like, well, geez, you got to play somebody. And then they all played in some mop-up time and a couple of blowouts.
So then my only guess, just because we know Michael Malone, he sticks with his game plan 100%, would be we would see Reggie Jackson, and that would be it.
Yeah, maybe. I think he'd be the next option. And look, Michael Malone is on a prove everybody wrong tour. I hope he's got a voodoo doll of me and he's sticking pins in it. Great. If I'm that guy, if I'm that under his skin, you're welcome, Nuggets Nation. Yeah. I don't think I am, but if I am, great. Come prove me wrong, Coach. I'll be happy.
I honestly love that he has no fear. Like, he does not care about calling anybody in the media out. I love that out of a head coach. Like, who gives a crap what you say, what I say, what ESPN says? And that's a whole other discussion, because they are just not giving any sort of credit to the Nuggets at all. But who cares? Because if they go out and win a championship, none of it matters. It's not like they pay him. ESPN's not paying Michael Malone one bit.
In a roundabout way, they are, but I get your point.
Yeah.
Those rights fees pay all of them.
Stephen A. Smith is not paying Michael Malone.
Correct. And one more clarification I want to make, because I get all this, you've been a Nuggets hater. If I was critical of Malone, it's because I think this is a championship caliber roster. When I say he's Doug Collins and they need to get Phil Jackson, that means I think this is Michael and Scotty and Dennis, and it's a title winning team. So, hey, if people aren't getting your message, it's on the communicator. So that's on me, but wanted to make sure I clarified that. I've never doubted this roster. I've doubted the guy leading it. And so far he's done a great job.
Listen, you can't be a Nuggets hater with a video like this. And we will, of course, replay the video of you and your sons after the Game 4 win. Watch this one, everybody.
The Nuggets are paying extreme attention to Austin Reeves as the inbounder. Reeves holding. James comes out of the back. James on the drive, goes inside, stop, shot block, gets it back.
You can't have a sweeping motion like that and be a Nuggets hater, everybody. That video is so good, James. So I have to ask you, what was the idea of like, all right, let's set up the camera, because this could either be an absolutely memorable video or it could be a video you never want to watch again.
It was spur of the moment. We were just sitting there watching the game. You know, it came down to the final 4 seconds. There was a timeout, so there was a break. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go set it up on the little, dresser that's right under the TV. We all 4 happened to be sitting there watching it together. And, yeah, it turned out to be magical. I got to admit, I thought I was going to be filming us all going, oh, and falling to our knees and being upset. That's why we were also surprised and shocked and genuinely happy.
Yeah.
We were waiting for the other shoe to drop and it didn't. So no, it was awesome. It was just a genuine moment of pure joy.
Trust me, I was with you. I was like, LeBron's going to drive it to the basket. They're going to call the foul. This all could go down. We're going to go to overtime, whatever it's going to look like. So I was with you. But James, as always, I appreciate you hopping on Coffee Break with us. Congratulations to your sons, both on their continuations on education, and enjoy that today.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course. Now, Zach By yesterday, he said we need the series in the East to go extra long, and that's definitely happening. Take a listen.
When this Celtics Heat series comes to a conclusion, and by the way, we should all be rooting for Celtics to come back and push this series.
Let's have a game 7.
Yeah, no, seriously. I hope they play all 7 games, whether that happens or not, whatever.
And we definitely need that as we bring in Jake Shapiro. And last night's game, it helped a little bit. We saw a fire out of Boston, but can the Heat keep them off in another game tomorrow night, Jake?
I think the Heat win this in 6.
Okay.
I think they need to come back home. Granted, they have won 2 games on the road. And I think Boston has lost. I'm going to be wrong about this, but Boston has lost like 8 or 7 games in the playoffs already at home, and they lost like 9 games at home in the regular season. Like they've already almost lost as many games at home in the playoffs as in the regular season. It's crazy.
That is actually insane. And obviously you got back from LA. I know you were really tired yesterday. We had long meetings here at the office, but you got back safe, and that's all that matters. Did you get a good night's rest?
Oh my God, Rachel. I'm still like, I slept so much that I'm like post-sleep tired now. Like, for those who do not know, like, I was obviously in LA, as Rachel mentioned. I hadn't slept in my own bed because there were some things going on in my house before that as well. I haven't slept in my own bed in a week. Like, that was a marvelous night's rest. So, very, very happy.
Okay, well, I'm glad you are finally back in your own bed. That helps for sure, especially as we get 7 days rest now, or 8 days until the next game. But in LA, you had a kind of a different experience, and maybe after we saw with all the broadcasts and all the reporters and, where ESPN really had all the questions headed towards, and that was the Lakers and LeBron. Were you surprised by what you saw maybe off camera about the Lakers and some of the media members?
Well, I'm not going to mince words here and say that sports journalism is this unbiased thing that is beautiful and the thing I fell in love with. It is full of fans and full of biases. I mean, I'm just shooting from a glass chair here. Like, I'm a Nuggets fan. So yeah. I'm not completely innocent either, but I'm also not jumping out of my chair and jumping every time Nikola Jokic hits a shot. I want to, but I don't, because I'm a professional.
Yeah.
So no, I was not shocked, but it is overt when you see how clear it is, how many people with stakes in this wanted the Lakers and LeBron, as well as the Celtics, to fight for their 18th title.
Do we give them a pass? Because I'm like, okay, well, they're in ESPN. They probably deal with the Lakers all the time. Like, there's relationships. I mean, we have relationships too with players, obviously professional relationships, before anybody comes at me in the comment section. Professional relationships with players. Like, is there any sort of pass, or when you get to that national level, it's like, no, you need to cover both teams perfectly?
Their office is across the street.
Exactly.
Like, ESPN's office is literally across the street. It's not like when I say across the street, like so far away. It's like if you were at the city capitol building and walked across to the government capital of the state of Colorado, it's right there. So just from a personal standpoint, even if I was the world's biggest Boston Celtics fan, then I hated the Lakers, but I worked for ESPN LA, part of me would be rooting for the Lakers because it means I could sleep in my own bed during the NBA finals and not have to travel. Like, so there's personal stuff attached into this as well. And you could tell which guys are like nationally respected and which ones are like the talkers, you know? Like there's some really good reporters who did a good job on both teams throughout the course of this series.
Love to see it.
I would say it's not the majority either way, but it's almost 50-50 of the people who were just, you know, clowning around. So yeah, man, it's a little ridiculous. It's a little disheartening when you have so clearly the best player in the NBA and the best team in the NBA, and have had that since the Bucks got eliminated, that you're just, it's a certain kind of hell. Like I literally turned to one of our colleagues in the Denver media who I was watching the game with, game 4. And I said to him, I think we're watching the most dominant player in the history of the NBA at his peak right now, but we're the only ones who know it. So it's kind of this certain type of hell because you're not able to express how good this thing is and have any validation back. And Nuggets fans have been living like this for years, but it's gotten a little better, obviously, because they're going to the finals. But in a way, it's also gotten more extreme because every single thing we've thought about Nikola Jokic has been proven right. Every single thing. And then some. He's gotten better.
I love that Magic Johnson tweeted out, the Joker is changing the game of basketball right before our very own eyes, much like Michael, Larry, LeBron, Steph, Kobe, Kareem, and Shaq. Wow. What a statement coming from Magic Johnson. Yeah.
It is without a doubt that Nikola Jokic will go down as a top 10 player of all time if he captures probably 2 rings. Without a doubt, like he'll be a shoo-in for a top 10. He might end up as a top 5 player of all time. It's absolutely ridiculous. Just like how, Rachel, it's awesome because when we grew up, everyone was doing the Kobe or Dirk. Like everyone was doing that. Like it's just Kobe into the trash can. We've seen that shift to Steph Curry before our eyes, me and you. And it makes me appreciate the game of basketball because everyone, when I was a kid, was trying to hit those mid-range jumpers. Now everyone's just pulling up and trying to hit threes, all the young kids when you go to the park. It's really cool, and they think they want to be Steph Curry. Recently, you go to the park, and people are passing the absolute crap out of the ball because they're trying to be Nikola Jokic. Like, we got that guy. We got the guy that makes basketball different for generations to come. Like, Kobe modeled his game after Jordan, who modeled his game after David Thompson, who played for the Denver Nuggets, by the way. But we have the guy who 10 years from now, there's going to be a guy who's awesome, an amazing 7-footer. Maybe it's Victor Wembanyama comes in and says, yeah, I watched a lot of Jokic and I learned how to pass. Like that's going to happen. It's going to happen really soon here.
What's the move look like? Because we all see the Steph, right? Where they're like tossing or in our age, the Kobe where you're tossing it. What does the Jokic move actually look like? Is it like with the ball? Oh, you're doing that. I was going to say, is it the passing where we got the ball here and like you can tell he's getting ready to? What does that look like? If they're putting him on a trophy, what does it look like?
Well, I think if you're doing the statue, it's the Sombor Shuffle. There's no doubt.
Oh, true.
If you made a new award for like best playmaker in the NBA, which I could see happening, it's Jokic just with the ball like this. Like I think you need a gif of him just going like this, moving it around for dribble handoffs. Like that's the funniest part about it is he's so great at using his body. And I'm so sick of this, by the way. Everyone says he's not a great athlete. We need to redefine what we believe athleticism is.
Agreed.
Because it's not jumping. It's not just how high you can jump. He is the most conditioned player in the NBA. He is absolutely unimaginably intelligent at controlling the way his body moves, which is athleticism in my brain. He also is one of the most hand-eye coordinated athletes I've seen of all time. So when people say Nikola Jokic isn't a great athlete in terms of athleticism, and this comes from Michael Malone as well, by the way, I just scoff at it because I think all that means at the end of the day is he doesn't jump as high, but there's so much more that goes into it. And in talking to a person I'm very close to, Bill Walton, for years and years and years about this, it's not how high you can jump. It's when you jump. And Nikola has proven that.
Perfected it, if you will say. The conversation is still going around, Jake, about the number 15 with Carmelo Anthony retiring, and of course Jokic with his dominating run that hopefully lasts for many more years. Who deserves to get their jersey retired, or do you retire both of them?
It's disrespectful to Nikola Jokic to put Carmelo Anthony's number next to Nikola Jokic's. I believe at the end of the day, Nikola Jokic will get his jersey retired, and then a couple years later, you'll probably get Carmelo. I will say June 1st, sideline ball arena, Carmelo shows up wearing a Nuggets polo or a Nuggets hat. That's going to smooth over a lot of issues. But the fact Carmelo announced that his retirement on that day, the day the Denver Nuggets would do something they could have never done with Carmelo and they'd never done in franchise history, he knew what he was doing.
You heard who produced that, right?
What?
You heard who produced it?
No.
LeBron.
Great. Just everything about him, it's like it's just so icky. But it's so obvious what happened there. And he could have waited 3 months, and it would have been a lot different of a perception. I would have felt differently. But to announce it on the day he did that, the Nuggets did something they could have never done with him. It led me to believe it's disrespectful for Nikola Jokic to share that honor of 15 with Carmelo Anthony. I'm not going to sit here and tell you Carmelo's not a top 5 Nugget all time. He obviously is. He got me into the Nuggets. But the way people leave and the way that fallout happened impacted the Nuggets franchise. And it didn't turn them quite into the same laughingstock as what they were before he got here, but it brought them down a few pegs. And you see the residual effects of that in the national media, in the national conversation with just casual fans of the NBA, where it's like, what are the Denver Nuggets? They're nothing. They're irrelevant. They've had Melo. They had Iverson for a few seconds, and then they've got this fat white guy who just runs around. Like, that's how people think about the Nuggets. And Carmelo had a chance to redefine the Nuggets. He did for a little bit, but ultimately because of the way he left, it didn't have the staying power that Nikola Jokic will and the way people think about the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, I saw Jeff Green said essentially Carmelo put the Nuggets on the map to begin with. And so that's why he believes both of them should be up there. It's an interesting conversation. We would love to hear everybody's opinions in the comments too. If you think that they should, I know I still see all the Carmella comments, and that's all over my Twitter too. I'm like,
get that over with. That's sexist. Stop that.
Amen, Jake. Thank you so much. I'm like, this is rude, FYI, just to be very clear. So stop those comments for sure. But it is an interesting conversation. And of course, we'll see what the Nuggets end up doing. Jake, we are 1 week and 1 day away from game 1 of the NBA Finals. So let's enjoy these moments for sure.
You want the one-liners?
Oh, hell yeah, I do. I forgot about the rant. Let's hear it.
All right, here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jake Shapiro.
The Lakers are going to go to the Western Conference Finals and lose to Denver? That's what ESPN's Dave McMiniman snarkishly said on the Hoop Collective podcast a while back. The Lakers are going to get to the Western Conference Finals and lose to Denver. Hey, Dave, yes, you nailed it. You nailed something, finally. It took you joking, but you did it. Welcome to the Rant, a special sweep edition. Get your brooms out, everyone. Go to the closet, get your brooms out. You're going to need your brooms for this one. The Western Conference Finals took as many games as ESPN has letters in it. The Mike Greenberg, seeing that Nikola Jokic had 1, 2, 3, 4 fouls, holding up 4 around the arena. Unlike you, it's not for Joker's 4th foul I'm holding up the 4. It's for the amount of games this series took, Rachel. It took 4 games. Fun fact, the Lakers lasted as many games against the Nuggets as LeBron has hit threes in Denver since the pandemic began. 4. The Los Angeles Lakers have won as many games in this series as there are lakes in Los Angeles. 0. Los Angeles, the city of angels, the Lakers, the team will now have as many wins in the Western Conference Finals this year as there are lakes in Los Angeles, like I said, but their season is dead in the city of angels. They're going to need an angel. Speaking of, did the Denver Nuggets just dethrone LeBron James from his playing days? Up 15 at half, game 4. LeBron was primed to make more history. But guess what? He was history. If James plays next season in Los Angeles, the only king in that city will be on the ice. The Los Angeles Kings. Darvin Ham joked about kidnapping Nikola Jokic to start the series. The Jokic brothers escorted the entire franchise into a free fall. Michael Malone put Ham in his pipe and smoked it. Jeff Green now has more trips to the NBA Finals than Anthony Davis. Wait, is D'Lo still putting up shots after the game? I bet he'll be ready for game 5. Bruce Brown, ice in his veins, wrecking former All-Stars. Emphasize former. Brown has twice as many points in the series as Russell did. The Lakers thought they had saved their season by trading Russell, only to get a Russell back and be cooked kosher style by a Serbian. Hey, remember that easily exploitable hack of Jamal Murray that give the Lakers a trip to the NBA Finals? 33 points per game later. Yeah, right. Rui means authority, might, and power in Japanese. The Jokic stopper. 3 triple-doubles later, and Hachimura might want to find out about the Sambor Shuffle. Big Honey dripped on ESPN so hard, their own ABC-sized Mike Greenberg was slapping the media table like an undersized Duke guard. ESPN, the crying baby on my flight back to Denver was less annoying than your coverage of this series. Hold on, I'm being told the Lakers are actually going to beat the Nuggets in 9 games, guys. We're gonna have to go back and beat them in 9. Anthony Davis, are you still sitting at your locker, a broken man? Nikola Jokic lifting weights to the Steve Miller Band after sweeping the Lakers. Goated. Step over, King. Step over 17 rings. It's Joker's time. And he's got another party in South Beach he needs to take his talents to. Let's go.
Oh my goodness, Jake Shapiro. That, my friend, was priceless. My favorite one-liner, though, was the smoking ham out of the pipe, because wow, does that tie in perfectly with Michael Malone. And I think Michael Malone is one of the bigger stories. And I was talking about James, obviously, with this. And we just got to give Michael Malone so much credit. Yes, of course, the credit's going to go to Jokic. Of course, it's going to go to Jamal and all of the players too. But we really do need to applaud Michael Malone for this. And I love the sass that he's brought. I applaud him, and I am so excited to see what he prepares with this team for the finals.
He is going to get his butt out-coached by Eric Spoelstra in the finals so bad, but it might not matter because Nikola Jokic is so much better and the Nuggets roster is better. Hats off to Michael Malone and the things we talk about in coaching. I like athleticism. We need to have a further conversation of what goes into coaching. Would Nikola Jokic be at this point without Michael Malone? There was a lot of development that took place. He was a second-round pick for a reason. He wasn't one of the top 40 players at the time and when he was drafted. Sure. And yes, he was little known. I understand that. But to have the mentality to go into LA and win 2 games to sweep the Los Angeles Lakers, to have the mentality to come back from down 3-1 twice in the bubble, to win on the road against the Jazz with 7 players, to overcome significant injuries to 2-star players and still get here, all of it. That's a tone-setting mentality that comes from somebody, and my guess it comes from Michael Malone and the Nuggets organization. There's a thing called heat culture down in South Beach. The Nuggets have a culture. I'm not a big believer in culture because at the end of the day, I think talent wins out in the NBA, but you're looking at a season that GMs and organizations have been rooting for to happen for years. You have 2 teams built completely on culture, the Miami Heat and the Denver Nuggets. Granted, the Denver Nuggets do have the best player in the league, but they're not the 2 most talented rosters. They fit well, they were patient, and they let things happen. And a lot of it comes from the mentality and development of their coaching staffs and their front offices. So Michael Malone deserves so much credit. Yes, I've had my quarrels with him in the past about lineups and rotations and whatever. That's all squibbles. I've never thought for a minute that he should be fired. If they had lost in the Phoenix series or found a way to blow it in Minnesota, for sure. But they've gotten through the playoffs in fewer games so far than the Avs have to this point. Like it's the same amount of games. Like the Nuggets and Avs might end up with the same record through 2 postseasons. Rachel, the Nuggets haven't even faced an elimination game. Like this has been smooth sailing. So Malone deserves a ton of credit. I don't know where on the credit meter he gets because Nikola Jokic should get like 90% of it, but Malone deserves a significant portion as well, as do honestly, and I'm not the biggest KSE people know that. I'm not a fan of billionaires, but honestly, Stan and Josh Kroenke being patient and letting this window play out and not quick trading Jamal after the injury or getting rid of Porter or forcing that hand, and trusting they had a guy in Calvin Booth who could take over for Tim Conley and be better. They deserve a lot of credit for being patient as well, because in 2023, it is so hard to be patient about just about anything.
True. Jake, an excellent way to end the show. Thank you so much. Huge shout out to DMAC 2 and James Merla and to all of you in the comments. We appreciate it every single day. We'll be back 10:30 tomorrow morning for another episode of Coffee Break. Have a wonderful Wednesday, everybody. We'll see you then. Bye.